Good evening, Warriors, and welcome into a late edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your exhausted host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Mr. Robert Hagan, and I got a test. Can you hear it? I figured. What happens when things get all messed up? Hold on. Let me bring it up. Pull it off. Try again.
No, I said.
All right, there we go.
Are you ready?
Setting this stuff up on the fly here on the R&R Sports Report, and just got back from calling Lewis and baseball. We will talk about that in the second hour. But Mr. Hagan, what's up, sir?
Dude, you've been busy. I started listening. I had to sub today, and I actually turned the computer on and had it on at 2:00. Got ready to listen to it. I had kids in class like, "What are you listening to?" And I told them, listen to LHS baseball. And you started at 2. So, man,
Yes.
You've had a long day.
We started broadcasting at 2. I was there before noon, getting things set up because I wanted to talk to Coach and kind of get the details on our 4-game trip down in southern Idaho and make sure I had everything set up and ready to go. And then the Moscow pitchers could not throw strikes, and it just drug. However, it allows us to now know for sure that next week I won't be here. Robert will have somebody else. And if I just happen to get done in time, then I'll hop on for the last little bit. But Coeur d'Alene and Lewiston play next Tuesday at 3 instead of 2. And I'm not pushing back the show any farther than an hour than we have now. So next week will be Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time like normal. It'll be Robert Hagan and somebody, and then maybe I'll make a sneak attack at the end of the show or something. We will see how all that goes. But it was a good test run because we got to do this for multiple times over the month because Lewiston has decided to just play all of their home games on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. And if you look at stuff going on, I ended up going to baseball yesterday with makeup games.
Mhm.
That's just how it is
Yep.
in the springtime. I mean, things getting pushed back, changed. I know you had said it a couple times on the air. Softball got canceled again. Bantams ended up with canceled games this past weekend. Tis the season.
Yes, 'tis the season for sure. And you just made me realize I never got an update on golf. Hopefully I don't get yelled at.
I don't see you.
Golf got all messed up too, and I haven't even looked to see if they're even able to play. So no, it looks that was Monday. So maybe the whole thing got canceled. Maybe the whole tournament got canceled. I'm not sure. I'll have to message Alicia. I've been busy. Anyways, we got an interesting show, and for those that are not wrestling fans, I'm sorry. But wrestling not only had WrestleMania, 2 fantastic nights of wrestling. I thought both shows delivered. And then Monday did the opposite. We'll talk about that. And of course, they will be our main topic of the show. It wasn't just WrestleMania wasn't the headline of wrestling news. It is the fact that the WWE and the company that owns the UFC are merging into one company. I think it's just a nice way of saying Endeavor is eating the WWE at this point. And that means the WWE and the UFC will be under one company from now on. Wild news that came out, rumored throughout the weekend, came out as official on Monday. Obviously, with any business deal with this much money involved, it's going to take a while to get through all of the litigation and the okays from the government and whatever all the other crap that you have to do. But it does look like Dana White and Vince McMahon are in the same company now. Just your initial thoughts on that.
So my question is, can these two coexist, even though with Vince coming back?
I don't
understand all of that. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Weird vision of seeing Shane O'Mac in there, Triple H. We'll get to that part. I know you got a good chuckle out, but
oh man,
the last I heard, and then this
yes.
is me, is there was a Saudi-based company that was trying to take over and purchase WWE Entertainment or World Wrestling Entertainment, and there was still the deal trying to go down. That was the last I heard. And then you broke this to me yesterday afternoon.
It came out of nowhere for me too. Obviously, I guess there'd been rumors over the weekend that I just missed throughout all the WrestleMania stuff, that this was getting close to happening or a sale was imminent. And I was hearing the same thing as you with the Saudi stuff. I have no inside knowledge. I have heard zero rumors about this. This is just me spitballing at this point. But I believe that this deal happened because it allows Vince McMahon to be a part of it. Vince retired, 9 months ago, behind all of the crazy speculations and allegations and stuff we talked about when it all happened. He's still dealing with all of that stuff. He left. The WWE got better. He got upset or whatever, forced his way back into the company dealing wise because he was still a majority shareholder. Because he came out and basically said, well, I don't want to be part of creative. I just want to make sure that we sell this to the right people and that I'm part of it. This is my baby and this is everything involved with it. I want to be the one to sell it. So the WWE, of course, they had no choice, but they allow him to do it. And instead of going to Saudi, he goes to Endeavor, who then makes him a chief officer who's like second in command now in Endeavor. So guess who basically took over Monday Night Raw and destroyed all of the fun stuff that Triple H had been building on that wonderful show. And now all of the wrestlers are pissed. And there's some that were going to resign that weren't. There were reports of people wanting to sign with WWE and they were going to show up on Monday. They didn't. The old craziness of scripts being changed 15 minutes before the show happened again yesterday. There's a video out there, which still blows my mind because I don't watch Raw or sometimes I'll check SmackDown out or AEW Dynamite out live, at least parts of it, because they just hit at a right time. But Raw, I just don't care about because it's 3 hours. 3 hours is too long for a weekly show, so I just catch the YouTube clips. But Raw after Mania is usually this wild Raw. You get all these returns that they've been saving because they weren't going to be booked for WrestleMania. So you get all these crazy returns. You get all these story twists. You get some debuts in there. You get some NXT call-ups. It's just a wild show. We got none of that yesterday. We got Riddle back. We had one return. We had no debuts and no call-ups. So again, I usually don't watch Raw live. I decided to watch Raw live because I wanted to see what was going to happen with the Endeavor deal on top of it. Triple H comes out and says nothing's going to change, even though I guarantee you he was cussing inside of his own brain of how horrible things are going to be and have already gotten. But there's a video out there where Seth Rollins is in the back and talking about his win. And he does this. Seth Rollins is just a crazy character right now anyway. He's like, you know what? Something just feels off. Oh, yeah, the party's out there. The party's out with the audience. He's like, well, hit my music. And if anybody that watches wrestling these days knows, Seth Rollins' music is more over than Seth Rollins is. And the crowd just loves to sing along with his intro thing. So he comes out. The crowd's going ballistic. They go to commercial. They come off a commercial. And the crowd is going nuts still with Seth Rollins. Rollins walks around the ring a little bit, gets out of the ring, walks down the stairs, and leaves. That was the whole segment. And you're sitting there going, well, obviously, normally that's a build for him to talk and then somebody to debut or somebody to be called up and start a feud with Seth Rollins because he's the perfect guy to enter the company. So it's like, what the hell? What is happening? There's a video online of somebody recording Seth Rollins during that commercial break, looking frustrated or agitated as 3 different people are talking to him at ringside during this commercial break while the crowd's still doing their thing. They get done talking. He gets upset, grabs a microphone, and turns around and walks off. Well, at the end of the commercial break, he didn't have the microphone. So obviously, whatever they had planned when he walked out there was changed by the time the commercial break hit. So that segment completely just disintegrated and fell apart. Welcome back to Vince McMahon's WWE. All of the goodwill that had been built up for 9 months, how much arguing I have been making about how good WrestleMania was and how I defend a booking decision that happened at the end of the Sunday night version of WrestleMania because I want to see the long-term booking, just now out the window because of him. And that alone makes me really disappointed already in this merger.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to play catch up, and this,
Yeah.
where I worked LC and all that. So I was one day behind watching everything. So last night I spent the night watching the Sunday version of it. So I still have yet to watch Raw, which will be
do not.
So I might
pointless.
do clips, but
I don't even know if there's one clip that's worth it.
Really,
it was a brutal 3 hours.
Because you hit it on the head. Normally, there's people coming back. I figured we'd see something like Randy Orton. We saw or heard that at NXT. I'm drawing a blank. All I can think of is Steiner. Braun Breaker lost his title. So that I told Denise on Saturday, I said that this means he's coming up. It must be coming up, and he's going to take a spot on one of the shows. And so literally had said the same thing. So, it makes me I kind of want to focus over here now. I'm like, okay, I got to see if I can find this video.
Yeah, I'll send you the video afterwards. It's wild to me. It just shows you I'm so disappointed. It's just because wrestling had gotten me hooked back in. I loved what Triple H had been doing. The whole bloodline storyline with Sammy and Cody and the Usos and all that stuff had been fantastic for months. The Rey and Dominic story was fantastic. We'll talk all about what happened at WrestleMania in the second hour. For those that aren't wrestling fans, we're not going to bore you with our nerdiness on that. But back as far as this merger goes, I'm very now curious what's going to happen. Obviously, nothing's going to happen instantly other than Vince coming back and wrecking things. But there's been a lot of talk of, now that it's Endeavor, they're going to go and use the same pay-per-view structure that the UFC does. So now we're going to go back to $70 pay-per-views for the WWE. Well, a couple issues with that is, one, Peacock still has the deal for 2 years to run the WWE network in America. WWE network still lives outside of America. And two, I haven't had to pay a cent for a pay-per-view are we nearing 10 years of the network? When was the network out? WrestleMania 30, right? Was WrestleMania 30 the first one? So we're about 9 years in to the network where you pay a monthly fee and you get all of the premium live events now. No, I will straight up say, I know a lot of people after booking happened on Sunday were like, I'm done with WWE. I'm never, ever, ever going to pay another cent to buy just a pay-per-view. There's no reason to. They gave us this beautiful structure. I have paid more money to watch wrestling now than I used to watching pay-per-views because I'm paying $10
a month. A month.
Yeah. So that's like buying 2 pay-per-views back in the day. And usually I would buy one and then like Doof would buy one and we'd kind of split things up. I never spent $120 on pay-per-views. So I'm not going back that direction. And I think Endeavor is smart enough to realize that, listen, WWE is going to be its own thing. Everyone's going, they're just going to do everything together. I think they're 2 separate companies and they're going to be treated completely different. I don't think that they can go to one company, whether it be Disney or NBC Universal or whatever that company's called, or Fox, and say, all right, pay us $5 billion and you have exclusive rights to both Monday Night Raw and a weekly UFC show and the pay-per-views and this. Now, they could try to package them together and say you get one show a week from the UFC and a WWE to try to get some kind of a bundled deal, but they're not all going to be under one roof. unless Endeavor decides to go, well, we're going to be like Disney, and now please welcome Endeavor Plus and pay us $20 a month to get all of your WWE and UFC content.
Right. And then that might happen. And my thing is, I'm just with reading this stuff after you had messaged me. It sounds like they're trying to keep the numbers close. Endeavor, like stockholders, will own close to, I want to say 51 or 52%. And WWE is going to be the 48, 49%. Yeah. So, it looks like it is a better deal. And I got to thinking about this, and it was when I was doing some of the stuff for baseball, as I thought about the amount of money, and right now, WWE, they say, is worth $9.3 billion or some number like that. So I thinking, how much is those going to change, knowing that you have such an income on Peacock of how many people just think about that. Just think about our friends or here in the Valley, or even we're talking like Robert Taylor, those guys that watch this stuff. We're paying, I'm doing the yearly, so I'm paying $50 a year.
Yeah.
And so I pay it once a year. And so I just re-upped it in the first of the month. So, or I think it was March 29th. So so I got it just before pay-per-view, and I've had it now 3 years. I love it.
Yeah.
But how does that change? Like you said, I think they try to keep things separate, but how do you merge the two together to make it look, the same programming, or do they keep it branched?
Like I said, I think they keep it separate. Obviously, things can still change because TV rights are coming up for the WWE. The Peacock deal, like I said, is 2 years away, but negotiations will probably start next year on where if Peacock still wants it and wants to pay the money to keep it, or if somebody else wants to jump in. So, and Endeavor has done a really good job with the UFC, at least financially. Where I want to say UFC right now valued over $12 billion. When they bought it, it was a $3 billion or $4 billion company. They've like over tripled the value of that brand since taking it over a few years ago. So they're very good business wise, and I'll be curious to see what they do. Listen, Jesse, I'm kind of the same way. I still miss just regular WWE Network because I get really sick and tired of. I want to watch the 1997 SummerSlam. So I need to go look up SummerSlam Season 12, Episode 1 to watch SummerSlam 97 or whatever it is. WrestleMania is easy because they number them, and you could just go that route. The other one's just... Peacock has made it a bit more of a headache. However, I get all the Peacock stuff for free because I'm still just paying the same price I was paying for the network. So in the end, it works out. That's
exactly the way we've thought about it. I get the wrestling side, and now Denise has been catching up on some of the newer movies that they've been put. I mean, that's the way you got to think about it, especially all these platforms, with Disney Plus, with
there's so many,
even Paramount now. So I agree with you, Jesse. They do, the buffering can get annoying. Listen, last night, me watching the Sunday event on Monday, the buffering was just horrendous.
And that's crazy from a replay that you were getting the buffering. I was pretty lucky from both events that I got a little skipping at one point. I want to say early on in the main event on Sunday, and that got annoying, but it lasted a minute or two. But other than that, I got pretty lucky as far as the buffering and stuff goes. But we'll talk all about WrestleMania weekend in the second hour and get into that. But of course, we really had to talk about this WWE Endeavor merge and what's going to happen. It's going to be very interesting, but the effects have already hit the actual production of WWE, and I'm down. I'm sad, and I hate it. And I was so hyped after Mania, and now it's like, well, I guess I'm going to go back to I'll watch it here and there and keep an eye on it and watch my pay-per-views and go from there. But we will see where we go from there. But let's move on to the NFL, which we're kind of in that stale time for the NFL. The NFL doesn't have many of these times where they're not like top front and center of the news outlets, and
There's
obviously there's still
there's
like all the
still two
talking
stories.
heads. Well, yeah, but there's still talking heads that are going to find
Right.
things to talk about, and they're still going to lead all these different screaming shows that you see all over cable. Of course, they talk the NBA too, and you and I don't do that. But what did you think with this Jim Kelly stuff?
Him calling out. I have to kind of agree with him. He's like saying they need to find a decent running back that can take the pressure off him. Josh Allen can't do everything, and I think what's going to happen is they keep putting and designing things in that way.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be one of those quarterbacks that maybe get 1 or 2 more years out of him before he's not as mobile. He's going to have the knee issues or the hip issues. It's the whole thing. So, when I read the comments that I believe it was off ESPN about Jim Kelly making the comments, it just kind of blew me away of a past player going against his team that he played all of his years for, basically calling out his ownership, saying, you got to fix this.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. I mean, we've talked about it for years that they need to have a more balanced offense to really be competitive. We continue to kind of fall into the trap of, oh, this is Buffalo's year. I picked them to win the Super Bowl last year. And in the end, they're just too one-dimensional on offense. Their running game was Josh Allen. He gets banged up and the team starts to struggle. Von Miller gets hurt and the defense falls apart. They need to have more balance and more depth to be competitive all the way through the year. And now with other teams in this conference and other teams in their division continuing to improve, they really need to find that balance quick, or that window that they had to finally win that Super Bowl is going to slam shut.
Yeah, and you said it right. Slam shut hard, because you look at what is happening in some of my readings. Cincinnati is not far from getting Joe Burrow's wrapped up, and the way that this AFC has been playing, it's going to be a changing of guard. For as many years as we saw New England, and now it had moved to Kansas City and Buffalo. Now it's the changing. You're seeing Cincinnati making those strides.
Yeah.
And I hate saying this because you and I were on them so many years ago. Is Jacksonville starting to get that where they're getting to the point of, hey, we can start being contenders a little bit to take this off? And so they've got to make adjustments.
We've talked about it before. We did our way too early power rankings a couple weeks ago, and Jacksonville was right on the tip of being in our top fives, which is insane to think about. But they're right there. I think they're the class of the AFC South, which is not saying much right now, but that still gets you into the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence continues to take strides to be that quarterback we all were expecting. They're making good moves in the offseason for several years, though we all made fun of them last year for the moves they made, but they seem to work out okay. So I think Jacksonville's up there. There's another team you didn't talk about, the New York Jets, taking those strides. They win 7 games with the worst quarterback in the world last year, and now we're still waiting on the Aaron Rodgers stuff. But yeah, and like Eric says, for Jacksonville, they're up and coming. Jacksonville's up there. The Jets are up there. Miami continues to be very competent, and they continue to make moves. Baltimore will implode when Lamar Jackson ends up in Atlanta or Washington or wherever they're going to end up going. But like you said, Cincinnati is up there. We'll see whatever is going on with the AFC West. There's a lot of tough teams in that AFC, and like I said, the window or door for Buffalo is absolutely closing on them, and they need to get that figured out. And it's good for somebody like Jim Kelly, who's respected by that organization, to go, hey, he needs a running back, please. I had Thurman Thomas, and we got to 4 straight Super Bowls. I'm sorry we sucked in those games, but we got the 4 straight. Give the man some help.
And if I remember right, in the article too, it says it's been, I want to say 10 years since they've had a 1,000-yard running back. Don't quote. Wow. Yeah, don't quote me on years, but I'm almost positive that's what it was. It was like 10 years since they've had a 1,000-yard rushing running back.
Also, the other story that you put on here is the most old man, laid back comment I've ever read in my life, where Ron Rivera basically said, "I'm not desperate. It's
Yeah,
like if I'm gone next year, I'm gone. That's football." He's been fired before, and he knows how this job works, so he's not going to over stress about it. I love Ron Rivera. He's so much fun. He just coaches in his own style. If you like it, cool. If not, it's not gonna bother him one bit. And man, while he may be gone after this year, he also could lead Washington to the playoffs with Lamar Jackson.
That is I laugh at myself, but that is a huge possibility. So, I mean, anything could happen here, knowing with him. But, it will be quite entertaining to see what happens with him.
Yeah, so next week, obviously, I don't know again who you will have on in my stead, but we'll still have some NFL news, of course, but just not as much as we have been. And then in 2 weeks from now, we'll really start hitting the draft, get our preview in there, and then a week after that, we'll give you at least a partial first round mock draft, and then we will prepare ourselves for the draft. Real quick scoreboard update before we get into the world of baseball. The NBA had everyone playing, it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games are in the books, Mr. Robert Hagan. 10 games. How many? Well, I don't care. Even though I'm not an NBA fan, I'm cool with a lot of games being played. Get all the games out there. They're wrapping up their seasons here soon. So get everybody out there. That's not the problem. We still have 3 games going on right now. But out of the 10 games that have concluded, 20 teams played, obviously. I can do math. How many did not score 100 points?
How many games?
How many teams?
3. Oh,
how many teams did not score 100 points out of the 20 teams that have finished?
I'll say 4.
You are way too high.
Wow.
0. 0 teams scored under 100 points in the NBA. I miss defense. Also going on right now, Lakers over the Jazz, 71-65 in the third quarter. Thunder over the Warriors, 30-26. They still have 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. So both teams are going to hit 100 there. Oh, there you go. Shady McCoy, 2016 by Robert.
I was typing it where I wouldn't forget
Haley
it.
said 1, but no, that's not true either. Suns over the Spurs, 31-18. That one also in the first. Go to the land of hockey. Do I have my hockey thing?
Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
This sounds a little familiar to what we're going to be doing a little bit later. Just saying.
Can't really play you. Hey, get out there. You can guard the 3-point line, sir. You can guard the 3-point line. But yes, we will get into the sports-related draft at the top of the hour. It's going to be so much fun. Listen, I know a lot of people do not play along with our sports-related draft. Please do at the top of the hour, because thank you to Eric Watkins for the idea that he sent me a couple weeks ago. I laughed a lot this morning because of him while we were putting our draft together. But anyways, hockey real quick. Hurricanes beat the Senators 3-2 in overtime. Panthers over the Sabres 2-1. Red Sox blanked the Canadiens 5-0. Devils over the Penguins 5-1. Maple Leafs over the Blue Jackets 4-2. We still have 2 more games to start, but there is one team playing.
Release the Kraken!
But unfortunately, nobody has released said Kraken. They're trailing the Canucks 2-0. 13 minutes into that game. Golden Knights and Predators tied at 2. Flyers and Blues over the Flyers 3-2, and the Blackhawks and Flames are tied at 2 in that game. But sir, we're less than a week in, but baseball is here.
Baseball is here, and
We've
let
made
me
it
tell
to
you,
baseball.
And just listening to some of the kids at school have went from, okay, especially today, oh, did you watch the game, March Madness game? No, man, it's
No.
baseball season. March Madness for me ended once Alabama and Houston's done.
Once your bracket was dead.
Once my bracket was toasted the other day, it's went to MLB baseball, and I love what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I love the speed of these games. I'm not getting bored watching games. I sat at LC on Sunday, and those games drug on Sunday.
And they have a pitch clock too. They have
and they have a pitch clock too. And it was just like, oh my god! And watching these games, I'm excited. I mean,
let's get into it real quick. Update on the scoreboard. A lot of finals so far. Arizona took out San Diego 8-6. Padres have not gotten off to a fantastic start. Cubs over the Reds 12-5. Miami takes down Minnesota 1-0. That was the first loss for the Twins. Is perfectly placed right there. An hour and 57 in that Miami-Minnesota game. Just insane. Phillies got their first win of the year. They were the last team to get a win as they beat the Yankees 4-1. The Rays are your only undefeated team left in the majors, still on pace for 162-0 as they beat Washington 10-6. Pittsburgh over Boston 4-1. Toronto also with a 4-1 win. They took out the Royals. Brewers beat the Mets 9-0. Braves over the Cardinals 4-1. And going on right now, Baltimore, Denny Grubbs, Baltimore Orioles. So we'll get his comment here in a second because you say Orioles and Denny just magically appears. Baltimore leading Texas 7-2. Detroit over Houston 5-2. Oakland over Cleveland 2-0 in the fourth. Seattle is over the Angels 1-0 in the fourth. And in the second, the Dodgers over the Rockies 2-0. And no, Eric, I will not say that Tampa Bay is the only undefeated team left in the majors anymore. It's over. So you kind of talked about it for a second, and I want to get into it. Just we're not even a week in. Thursday was opening day, and all the teams played, and it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. So we're not even quite a week, but we've both watched several baseball games already this year. Your overall thoughts on all of the different rule changes that everyone cried about in the spring?
I love it. It just seems to be flowing a little bit. I think the big one for me is, and you used the term earlier, talking heads, and you can almost say that with some announcers anymore. They're finding things to talk about all the time. I think the one issue that I keep hearing that I'm like about is the size of the base. Just because the base increased by, what was it, 3 inches on one
or something?
3 inches on one side and 3 inches, so you're gaining a half a foot. That's not enough, really. For me, it doesn't seem like but they're talking about certain people. Well, he's going to be stealing more bases now because the bags are bigger. No.
They are.
I mean, well, tell me how many more. How many more bases are? I don't see as many.
Let me find out the stats. There's a ton.
I don't see them. They're stealing them. I love the timing. The pitch clock is awesome. I really like it. I know some people have gotten frustrated with having to make sure that they're in the box and all that, especially what happened today to Manny Machado, who is the first player this season to get called out on strikes and then gets booted out because he's arguing balls and strikes with it, gets ejected from the game. That we knew it was going to happen. When was it? So,
oh yeah, it was definitely going to happen. Okay, here you go. Thanks to, Eric got your 21 stolen bases on opening day, but thanks to Jeff Passan, obviously a fantastic baseball writer, he wrote this yesterday. The first 4 days of the MLB season by the numbers. All right, you want to see what the impact is of all these rule changes, right?
Yep.
We've played one more game in those first 4 days than last year, 50-49. Okay. Time of the average baseball game last year in those first 4 days, 3
Mhm.
hours and 9 minutes. So far this season through the first 4 days, 2 hours and 38 minutes. 31 minutes cut off the average time. And like Eric said, we just had an under 2 hour baseball game. Batting. We get the shifts gets taken away. I wasn't a big fan of that rule change because I liked the strategy involved, but I did agree that we didn't want to see as many strikeouts as there was. Batting average in the first 4 days of the season, 230 last year. It's up to 245.
Mhm.
Stolen bases through the first 4 games last year, 43 attempts, 29 converted stolen bases for an average of about 67.4%. This year, there have been 84 stolen base attempts, and 70 of them were successful for an 83.3%. So you want to talk about how many stolen bases there are? In just 4 days, we've had 41 more stolen bases. It's going to be a big impact. And for those that are wondering, how you talked about the pitch violation that had our first result out of an at bat with Machado today. Going into today, there have been 40 pitch clock violations. That's less than 1 per game. So while it impacted that at bat, they have not been egregious. And teams and players are still getting used to the new rules. And I think those numbers might even go down a little bit as we get going. And they do tweak them a little bit. So maybe in high leverage situations, they'll be a little bit more lenient on things. And they've already changed a couple of things up from what they saw in spring training. And they'll get this dialed in. I think I want to give credit to Major League Baseball because we've heard this whole offseason. It's the pastime. The rules have not been changed in years, even though they have multiple times. Every year we have new rules. But you can't change the way baseball is played. It's working. Games are shorter, but it's not like they feel shorter.
Right.
You watch a game, and during spring training, it drove you nuts because you had that big giant clock because they were trying to get used to it. But I've watched several Yankee games. I think today was the only one I didn't watch because I was calling the Bengals. But I've watched the other Yankee games this year, and it wasn't any time where I'm like, man, they're pitching quick. Man, this is going by really quick. Because they don't, like, for the Yes Network, they don't even show the pitch clock if it's running out. They like other, like the Sinclair broadcast and stuff, when it gets down to 10 seconds or whatever, they'll pop it up like it's a shot clock. Yeah, the Yes Network, you get nothing. So it doesn't even enter my mind. And I've seen a couple of violations and stuff, but it's been fantastic. And those are all I go to a baseball game to watch it for 3 hours. It's like, what are you talking about? It doesn't. I want to be able to enjoy my beer. Then drink your beer. You're totally fine. It doesn't change anything. You're still you're just wanting to leave. You're not even there to watch the game. You're there to just hang out. So go hang out somewhere else.
Well, that's the thing is, you can still go to a game, and right now with this new, it feels like you could go to a game and still make, you go to a Saturday matinee and still make date night with your spouse. You can do that. I mean, you and I, we enjoy sitting, our annual Memorial Day is at Harris Field, Head Chef Stadium, watching baseball all day long and getting in 4 baseball games. But that's what we love, and that's the one thing that I'm seeing with these other games is, are they going to start implementing it even farther down? Do we start seeing it in?
I think we've had a good sweet
in the well, I'm saying in the minor leagues. Are we going to start seeing?
That's where these rules started.
Right, but I'm saying, and them staying implemented in them all the way down to single A.
That's
a lot of those
started. They're already there. So those rules are all there.
They're going to stay there, and that's the big one. I'm interested to see, because I would love to go up, and I can't wait to go up to Spokane and catch a couple Indians games this summer. But going up and is it going to have that same flow as if we went across the state and went over and watched the Mariners play, or
Now,
whoever.
Major League Baseball has done this brilliantly, where they use the single A's to test out wild rules and see how they work and what they impact, so they have actual data to go on for when they want to implement the new rule changes for Major League Baseball. And it's going to work out even better because there's going to be people that are coming up into the big leagues that have been used to a pitch clock and used to these different rules for years. And it's going to be less and less violations because, like you said, players will have been coming up with these rule changes. So it works out extremely well. We talked about Machado. What does that say?
Once
yeah.
Atlantic League implemented, MLB liked it. Yep.
And that's kind of what they do. They try it in different leagues and make it work. But you talked about Machado, who plays for the San Diego Padres. You and I both have done many broadcasts in the years, and you and I started. Yeah, I do blame Vince too. And we will talk. Robert Taylor, back from WrestleMania, so I want to get his experience here shortly. Taylor, don't go anywhere. We need you for the sports-related draft too, because it's going to be great. But you and I actually got our start with play-by-play doing the Clarkson Bantam baseball team. I wanted to play this clip, and I hope it works. And let me know if you can hear it right off the bat. But San Diego had a wild comeback yesterday. They were down by 1 in the 9th inning and hit back-to-back home runs. So they hit a home run to tie it, and the very next batter comes up, hits a home run, wins the game. I have a clip of the Arizona Diamondbacks play-by-play guy. It's the saddest call you will ever hear. So let me know if you can hear this, but I forget who this was that does the Arizona games, but this was his call for the San Diego walk-off.
This one is gone.
That's it. That was that one is gone. And then he just doesn't say another word. It's so good. I've laughed at that all last night.
Where's the enthusiasm?
The wrong team hit the home run to him. It was like, we lost.
It's done. Yep,
it's
over.
Brutal. Now I'm so glad baseball is back. The Yankees do lose their second game today and give Philadelphia their first win, and that's totally fine. The rules have been great. Anthony Volpe has been fantastic. What is 3 stolen bases already? It's been ridiculous. First home run of the year was by who?
Aaron Judge.
So already was the home run leader to start this year. As we've said a couple times, Tampa Bay already undefeated. Will that get them in our power rankings? We'll save that for a few minutes as try to tease Eric just a little bit to see if his team can make it or not. Early on power rankings, we'll see how it goes. But last year we did our standout player, and I want to expand this year and make sure we really give the love to these players that had a fantastic week. So we're going to have a standout batter, and we're going to have a standout pitcher every week to make sure we get even more names out there and have some more fun. So let's start with the standout batter so I can get this horrible name out of my mouth, and that's the Boston Red Sox, who had a wild series with Baltimore where there was 0 pitching. There was no pitching in the series. Baltimore loses a game where the third out was in the right fielder's glove, or excuse me, the left fielder's glove, and he ends up dropping it. And then the next batter hits a home run. Yeah, Ohtani had fantastic. I mean, I know Ohtani looked really good on the mound, but
he is
Ohtani,
pitching against. He's pitching against them. He's pitching against the Mariners tonight. So
there you go. So he'll be our pitcher of the week next week.
Seattle leads 3-0 right now. Just saying.
There you go. Center fielder for the Red Sox, Adam Duvall. Fantastic start to his year. 8 of 14. He had 8 RBIs and 6 runs. He had 2 home runs, a triple, and 2 doubles. That's a month for a lot of people. And he did that in 4 days. So congratulations to Adam Duvall for his ridiculous start to the season. Obviously, these stats are set for till Sunday is how I have at least how I had mine set up.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
I'm gonna go and stay in a home run city, and I'm taking Colorado's CJ Cron. I mean,
Mhm.
unbelievable. 7 for 15, just under 500, 7 RBIs. I think that's where I lean. I like to lean a lot of my stuff. Are they producing runs, getting things in right now? 3 runs scored, 3 home runs, 2 doubles. He just has been kind of
Mhm.
the starter for that team right now.
Already spoilers for next week since I won't be on the show. My standout batter for next week is going to be Will Smith, catcher for the Dodgers. He had a 2-run home run yesterday. He had a 2-run home run today. I traded him on Sunday. So it worked out really well for me. I still like it long term. We talked about Darshan Varsho. He was your breakout player, right, for the AL
Mhm.
East. That's who I traded for, was
Right.
Varsho, who plays the outfield, but he's eligible at catcher. And I traded him to our buddy Clint, who's a big Dodgers fan. So it worked out pretty well. And then he's hit a 2-run home run both days. So, whoops.
You know, I kind of miss playing, but then, this year taking a year off playing,
Mhm.
it was so nice to listen to Alicia in the press box Sunday, and she was
Stress.
stressing. Oh, this guy, he's on my bench and he hit a home run. Oh wait, this guy hit a home run and I'm good. I picked him up and
Right.
listen to Jacob come in and them talking the idea. I mean,
It's that
baseball is
season.
growing on a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I took the year off last year. I'm back into it, ready to go. All right, standout pitcher. And Eric, if you are still out there, you can rub this one into Tampa Bay starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs is my standout pitcher of the week. 6 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts. He walked 1, did not give up a hit. Now, there was a pitcher for the Cardinals who I am now, or Jack Flaherty. Did you see what Jack Flaherty did this week?
I did not.
I only know because, again, we're talking fantasy baseball. He's on one of my fantasy baseball teams. Jack Flaherty went 5 innings. He gave up 0 hits, and his whip was 1.4. He walked 7 batters in 5 innings. He walked the bases loaded at one point, but did not give up a run, did not give up a hit. Still got the win. But Jeffrey Springs, no hits, only gave up the 1 walk and struck out 12. Absolutely phenomenal by him. Who is your standout pitcher?
I'm going with the guy that I told you I was going to follow for Cy Young for the AL, and it's coming from your team, dude. And I'm giving it to Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole had a fantastic start in his first one of the year. 6 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts, gave up the 2 walks, and gave up just 3 hits over that time. But watching that ball dance around the strike zone, what he was doing with that, just unbelievable. So, 1 win for my Cy Young
Right.
award-winning pitcher this year. So,
and what was it? It was Webb, I think, who was pitching for the Giants in that game. And again, it were one of the very first games of the year because they played that 10 a.m. Pacific time spot. And they were talking about all these new rule changes, and we're going to get more balls in play. And then Cole and Webb, I think, combined for 26 strikeouts between the two. It was ridiculous what those two were doing, but Cole did come away with a win. All right, it is now time for us to get to our week 1 power rankings. And again, please hang around. We got our sports related draft. I apologize to your earlobes for what we're going to do to you in 10 minutes, but power rankings, I'll go first, and I'll just straight up say I don't change mine that much for the first week or two, just because who knows what we're seeing here in this first week. We were only really 4 or 5 days into the season. So I kind of based mine on how I was looking at it coming in, switched some things a little bit. But the Atlanta Braves, who I felt like you were underselling, and a lot of people think they're going to have a down year, started off pretty good, going 4-1 on the year. They already have a positive 15 run differential. So they're 5th for me. The Mets, they are only 3-3 and are really struggling out of the gate. starting pitching is already getting hurt. Some of those veterans that they brought in are missing the beginning of the year, but I still believe in the long run they're going to be a fantastic team. Same with the San Diego Padres. If their offense took a little bit to get going, now their pitching has been giving up runs, but I believe in them too. So I'll keep them 3. I'll move the New York Yankees up to 2. Again, they were 3-1 when we put this together. They lose today, but I really like that lineup, and as long as they can stay healthy, they're winning games with unknowns coming in already to pitch, and I think they'll be all right. And while Houston is off to a 2-3 start, it's the Houston Astros. They're the favorites to win it all, so I will keep them at number 1 for now, even though they are not off to the best start. I'll say this right now before you get to yours, and to counter whatever Eric is going to say as to why Tampa Bay should already be in the top 5. Tampa Bay is 5-0, but they beat Detroit and the Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree a little bit. They've had a lighter schedule. I'm still on your New York Yankees. I'm going to keep them at 1, even though they do
keep them at 1. They were at 1 before.
I had them at 1. I think they're the team. And you even made the comment earlier. I can't take you couldn't take your team early yet, and I love what I'm seeing there. I'm going to keep them 1, even though they do lose earlier there and give Philadelphia their first win, which Philadelphia needs to get going. So hopefully this is a bit of a spark. But I had Buddy that made the comment. Tim Lewis, Tim Lewis, the official for Washington State, huge Mariner fan, and he says 162-0. No, don't jinx us like that. Don't jinx us like that. 160-0. It's a long season. We're just 5 days
80 and
in.
82. All right.
There you go. I'm going to keep Houston. You said it. Houston is going to be that team that's going to be the one to beat. They have started off pretty slow, 2-4 on the season. They lost one, there the other day that was very close. So, but I'm going to keep them there. San Diego has too much talent. They have struggled just a little bit in that one right now. 3-3, they're 500 with the game today. But there's so much talent on that team, and I think this opening week, getting their feet, getting ready to go. I'm going to take the Mets, and you notice I have the Mets there ahead of the Braves just a little bit, even though the Braves right now are sitting at 4-1. Mets are right behind them, 3-3. It's still early.
Oh, yeah.
And just a little love. I'm going to give you a little love, Eric.
Yeah.
I'm going to put Tampa Bay at 5 right now for the week, but we're only when I did it, that was today. So my stats are only through Monday.
Brown nosing before the sports related draft.
No, I have
nosing coming. Here it is.
I have no idea where this sports related draft is going to go anywhere. I'm not trying to, because I laughed. I'm like you. I laughed so hard listening to some of this. I wanted to find somebody to pick a banjo and play with me. Let's play banjos.
Spoilers. And play the trumpet.
Yeah.
And will be noted if be. Thanks. All right, cool. Let's get into a fun little game of
Believe it.
I don't believe it.
Randy's classic game that has never been done before in any iteration ever. We know they are. We know. And Atlanta's good too. We know. But let's get into Randy's Believe It or Not MLB Opening Week Edition. Ready? We'll do this kind of quick because I want to get to the fun. I don't want to lose people, and I want them to cherish in the glory that is our sports-related draft this week.
Okay.
Believe it or not, mister, the rule changes aren't making people steal bases any more than they were. I'm even changing it to what I had before. At least 5 people will reach 50 stolen bases this year, believe it or not.
6-inch bags, 6 inches in between each of the bags. I just don't know. I don't see 5.
I'm not going to make the
I'm gonna say
interest
no.
joke that some of the play-by-play people have already made.
I'm gonna go no. I'm gonna say maybe 2.
I'm going absolute believe it.
Give me the under.
Take the push or over 5 or more. You look at it right now, stolen base leaders, which is kind of fun to look at early on in the year. There's already 3 people: Jorge Mateo, Cedric Mullins, and Miles Straw, that have 4 stolen bases on the season. There's 4 more: Corbin Carroll, who is super fast, Chas McCormick, and 2 New York Yankees, Gleyber Torres and Anthony Volpe, with 3 each. Listen, Harry doesn't believe either, but I'm telling you right now, Corbin Carroll's going to reach it. Anthony Volpe is going to reach it. Cedric Mullins might, if he continues to hit the way he's hitting right now. Jorge Mateo's really fast. Wander Franco has been showing some speed. There's going to be people. I say 5. 5 are going to get there. All right. Speaking of Wander Franco, who's off to a fantastic start, Wander Franco and Jeffrey Springs will once again make us regret not buying into the Tampa Bay Rays.
Wow. Eric says 6. At least 6.
I'm with Eric. But neither of us put Tampa Bay in the playoffs in our preseason predictions. You have already moved Tampa Bay to 5th in your power rankings. Are we going to regret it this year like we have many other years?
Well, we already talked about the idea. We do know that Boston's going to finish dead last in that division. It's going to be interesting once these teams catch fire. We're still a week in, and I hate saying it, Baltimore is ahead of New York.
We're and the same Toronto. Record.
But as far as percentage points based on yada yada yada, I honestly think
I hit the tip. You got me so upset. I'm injuring myself over here.
Better throw in the towel for your sports-related draft. I think Tampa Bay falls out just a little bit. Wow, Harry Broadhurst. Tampa Bay wins the East.
I don't know about that, but they can make the playoffs. So we will see how it goes. And finally, they did get their first win today against my New York Yankees, and that's all right. But Philadelphia is going to experience a World Series hangover and are in for a long season. You had them in the playoffs, sir.
I do have them in the playoffs. I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but they got to get going. They've got to find. We're 5 games in. You know.
Oh yeah.
Let's see where we're at on. We start talking about May 31st. I think after May 31st, we start really sitting.
Honestly, I would say it's later for Philadelphia, though. If they're way out of it, then they're going to be in trouble. But they have this baseball player named Bryce Harper, who is scheduled to come back in the second half of the season after his Tommy John surgery. We have yet to see him and Trey Turner in the same lineup. So
with you saying that, and this is what's going to make things quite interesting here. You're finishing up the series with New York. Then you get Cincinnati at home, and then they get Miami.
We're already looking at schedules.
Yes, I'm already looking at schedule.
And then April, they fit Cincinnati.
Exactly. So they've got teams that are going to be a little on the downside.
All right,
so look
all right. Okay. You are watching the R&R Sports Report a little bit behind the schedule, thanks to Lewiston Baseball. I didn't even look. Have you looked to see if we got any more followers this week?
I did not. Let me look.
Closer. We also really need to once again get a hold of Austin now that his vacation is done.
Did you see the pictures of him?
He had a very fun vacation. But actually, I'm going to message Austin right now, and we'll do this live on the show again about what are you free this week?
Let's see. This week.
I guess I'm not free Thursday or Friday, so it might not work this week. Yeah. So I have to work, but I got to get a hold of Austin and see what will work. Are you free tomorrow? Because he tried to get us on a Wednesday last time.
I will have to look. I have to look.
All right. Well, you look before I text Austin, and maybe we will finally get this in.
I'm looking at our engagement.
You misheard. I don't think I dropped an F-bomb. I don't think I did.
I don't think so either.
All right. But it is now time for our sports-related draft. This one brought to you by our friend Eric Watkins, who brought it up to me a couple of weeks ago. If I did, it just slipped right out and I didn't even realize it. But all right. Again, I don't think I threw the F-bomb in the Great Vacation thing, but I'll go back and listen. It might have just slipped right out. That's all right. You guys are distracting me from this fantastic sports-related draft, and I don't appreciate it right now. It is the best Aussie Rules football team themes. So if anybody is out there has never watched Aussie Rules football, and they're like, oh, this is dumb. Hold on. So Aussie Rules does this thing where if you win your game, like Hawthorn beat a North Melbourne team last week, they play your team theme over the stadium, and then you go into the locker room and the team sings it or whatever. Many of these were wrote in the 20s and 30s. Some were written as late as a couple of years ago, but kind of themed towards that old setup. A lot of them feel like college or high school fight songs. And it's just hilarious to think that there's professional sports that do this. So we're 28 away. So thank you. You can talk. This is a show.
I was letting you talk. I can't wait for the buildup because I want to really know if YouTube's gonna just blow us up.
Oh, we might get dinged for this for sure. But I found a playlist where the guy said that he did get dinged, so he changed the version of it. So we should be playing songs that YouTube has been okay with. Oh yeah, and they do play it when they first come out of the tunnel. You are right, Eric. So these are fantastically horrible songs. They're great. I had Haley listen to all of them. She ranked all 18 this morning, which we had a lot of fun doing. So let's get right into it. I'm the one that chose which topic we were going to go in. So Robert, you do get the very first pick. I want everyone in the comments, Eric and Harry and Robert, if you're still here, Haley, if you're still listening, or whoever else is here, please, from a scale of 1 to 10, just give me what you think of the song. Your vote afterwards can be completely different. But I just want to know, as we listen to the glory that is Aussie Rules football team themes, what you would rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. That's just what I want to know. But with that said, Robert, you have the pick for what is the best Aussie Rules football team theme.
I died laughing as I was listening to these this morning. I was hoping none of my students were walking in to my computer and listening to this stuff as it was playing, because some of these kids would think, oh man, that's weird. But I went for ones that made me kind of feel, oh, that's kind of upbeat. I like it. I went with my first pick. I went with Gold Coast. It was
one of the newest ones.
One of the newer ones. And so that's the one I went with. So
all right. So here is Gold Coast. I don't know how much I will play. I'll at least get through the first section of the lyrics of it. All right. Let us know what you think of Gold Coast team theme. I'll give you credit. It is upbeat. It has a man's man Rico theme song vibe to it. Absolutely. It's so cheesy and crazy. And just to think that it came out just a few years ago, I want to say, from when we were looking this up with Haley. It's so cheesy and goofy and over the top. Harry gave it a 6. Looks like Eric over here gave it a 7. And I'm totally fine with it. as well. If you had not had picked it, it would have been interesting to see if I would have taken it as my first pick. Robert gives it a 10, a straight 10. So it's a good pick for Mr. Hagan. All right, so I get the second pick. And I picked one, kind of the same thing. It gives you that upbeat feeling to it. But as Haley mentioned this morning while we were listening to them all, it kind of has a superhero theme to it, which makes sense because the team nickname is the Power. Gives you the feeling of power. It's a newer one as well. We'll get into the goofy later ones, but here you go. This is the Port Adelaide Powers team theme.
Get that trumpet going.
There's so much trumpets in these.
We got the power to win, power to roll, come on, Port Adelaide aggression. We are the power from Port, it's more than a sport, it's a true Port Adelaide tradition. We'll
This is the cheesiest one, I think.
till we're top, top, top. There's history here in the making. We got the power to win, we'll never give in till the flag is ours for the taking.
The trumpets are strong with this one. And Haley, just so you know, again, I keep kicking the wrong ones. Haley did not like this one as much as yours. Again, Haley ranked all 18 earlier today. She had Gold Coast second on her list. She had Port Adelaide sixth. She's saying she doesn't like it. She had it in her top third.
Wow.
So Robert Taylor gave it a 10. Still waiting to hear what we get. Oh, there. Eric gives it a 6. So slightly below yours. And we'll see if Harry gives us a 1 as well. And then I was very... Oh, there you go. Gold Coast over Power. That may... I'm with you guys. I think I would go Gold Coast as well. Well, that's true. Haley... By the way, Haley's number 1 was Adelaide. And it's only because it was the first one she heard. She never said that one is first. So I think if we did those in reverse order, a different team would have won Haley's list. But she never once said that team is the top one. So Adelaide ended up being the winner by default. Now it gets interesting because I almost was set to take this team as my joke pick in the third round. And then you ended up taking it as a legit pick in the second round. And you have some explaining to do to your Clarkston Bantam buddies.
Listen, I don't think it has a lot of the Lewiston side sound to it, but
it's the exact same.
Well, and I went back and I listened to it a little bit, and I was like, yeah, maybe
Haley sang the Lewiston fight song to this song, and it's perfectly set. And I'm pretty sure it's the Notre Dame one, right? Too.
I think that might be why
Lewiston gets it from, which is you guys will get it. But this was Robert's pick. Go ahead and announce it real quick.
I'm taking Sydney. I'm going to take the Swans in my second pick.
I still have a team. That's a crazy, manly, over-the-top game, and you have a team called the Swans. And they play the Kangaroos. So there you go.
Yep.
Here you go. Here's Sydney's team theme.
Sky, whether the odds be great or small, Swans will go in and win overall, while her loyal sons are marching onwards to victory.
Yeah, this is also my high school's theme song. It's our fight song.
Well,
and
you know,
Hagan, the Clarkston Bantam, the rival, picked our fight song.
You know what's funny about that, and you said that, and you told me Lewiston earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I got to thinking, even East Valley has the same music background to Clarkston. Well, no, to Clarkston's.
Oh, Clarkston.
So I mean, So a lot of these guys have the same. It's just changed the words a little bit. So.
Oh yeah, and again, Notre Dame, I'm sure came up. I don't know if they were the first to use this thing,
right?
But a lot of high schools went that exact same route. Eric gives it a 4.5. So there you go. All right, my second pick. By the way, Haley's ranking had them 7th. So not terrible for Sydney. My second pick was a newer one as well. It's cheesy. I was sitting there trying to think of words to try to prop it up. But I can't. So here you go. This is Fremantle. Mariners crushing Ohtani. Ooh, goodness. All right, here's Fremantle's team fight song.
Did, did they talk about their tuckus playing in a ruckus?
Something like that. There's ruckuses and tuckuses and dockerses and frios and solid 9. Eric liked mine more than yours. That's good. Fremantle. There we go. We're even, which makes this really interesting going into the third round. There's a lot on the line for our teams. So Robert set this up with his pick, and I had to go with him. So I guess for a lot of people, this is going to be determined by your favorite team compared to my favorite team. As Harry says, we are tied at 1. And I guess Ohtani did not start, so he is still set for MVPs and stuff. But go ahead. Most people here know your favorite team, but I will let you introduce your third pick.
And it's just because maybe I'm missing hearing the song because
they don't win.
We're 0-3 to start the season, but I am going to go with Geelong's song, the Cat song with their club. It's good. I like it.
I will let you hear it now. We're getting to the old stuff now.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from north to dark, down at Cardinia Park.
The only thing that I can think of when I hear your theme for your favorite team is the Bad News Bears. I just think of the Bad News Bears going out on the field to that song. Different lyrics, of course, but it's all you can think about. That is Robert Hagen's favorite team, the Geelong Cats. That is their theme song. All right, now mine. I'm a Hawthorne Hawk fan. Actually, not in last place, thanks to Robert's Geelong Cats. They got the win against North Melbourne somehow against former head coach Clarko. We'll take the win. I still have zero hopes for this season. But here is... go ahead.
Not till Sunday. Sunday, we'll get our first win.
Probably. Do we play each other? I haven't even looked. Do we? It's over. Congratulations. All right, here's Hawthorne's theme.
Team at Hawthorne, we're the mighty fighting horse.
I love the old ones, man. They're so bad.
Teamwork is the thing that talks. One for all and one for one. May we play at Hawthorne. We are the mighty fighting horse.
Yes, Harry nails it. Nailed it. It's Yankee Doodle versus the Bad News Bears, that's for sure. All right. So for the official draft, we have one more round. But for the official draft, Robert took Gold Coast, Sydney, and Geelong. I took Port Adelaide, Fremantle, and Hawthorn. So let us know who won in the end. And it sounds like it comes down to just your favorite team versus my favorite team and our themes.
Right.
So let us know who won this week's draft. Honestly, I'm usually mad if I win or if I lose to you, and because it doesn't happen very often. This year, I don't even care. As Hawthorn,
What?
Harry gives me one, so that's good. But this way, Eric crushed it with the topic for the sports related draft this week. I had so much fun this morning for sure. Now, this does not get put into our draft, but you heard what we think are some of the better themes. And spoilers or unspoilers, they're not good. They're not good at all. But what is the worst one? What is the worst Aussie Rules football theme song? What do you got for me?
Unfortunately, I hate saying this right now, and it's just because they currently are the leader in the ladder, and that's St. Kilda. I'm sorry. I don't want to listen to When the Saints Go Marching In anymore. I just don't want to hear it.
It is such a ripoff song. Actually, so St. Kilda, it was second to last on Haley's for the ripoff. I'm going to play Haley's too because I'm having too much fun now. We're just going to go through some of these. It's derailed the rest of the show, but it's cool because we basically just have WrestleMania and we'll talk about the finals, I guess, for NCAA. But St. Kilda's theme, you've heard this before.
I feel like Mardi Gras.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same song. They just add St. Kilda. Same thing for Haley's worst one. She took Melbourne, and that is this one.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Through old acquaintance people, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
It's such a ripoff. I'm going to play two for me. Because I put down two because I figured you're going to take one or the other, and I had to go to the games. And then you picked a different one. So,
well, what's funny is I sent you, when you and I were messaging back, I had scribbled down my work and I'd stepped away from my desk and I sent you the picture. So what's funny that you and I had picked a couple of them.
I love it. All right, real quick. Here's Carlton and their theme. Now we've gotten out of the ripoff stuff. They're just bad. And ripoffs too. You win a big game and you hear this.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team all Carlton knows. With all the
So bad. It puts you to sleep.
We'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark blues.
Is it over yet?
It's over now. It's over now. It's so bad. All right.
Oh.
Since Harry is really afraid of hearing these in his sleep and is threatening to lose friendships, I'm going to play one and we'll finally move on. Your ears will survive. All right. I'll play one that I know Harry has not heard that much because his team just does not win. And that is his North Melbourne Ruse and their fight song. It is so horrible. And it's to the point where I think that they just have forgotten to make it better because they just don't win games.
That sounds like the matching game song.
Which is why this is probably why Harry loves this team.
North Melbourne's on the roll. Good old North Melbourne, they're champions, you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for you and me.
It's why it starts with a game show theme.
That's exactly who it was. It was Gene Rayburn. That was like his walkout music to the match game in the late 70s or late 60s.
All right. Well, I said we were done, but Mr. Eric brought up two more. We've almost played all of them at this point. Here is Eric's Western Bulldogs. The Starling line is great. This is good. I can't say the Hawthorne one is good, but this is good to you, Eric. Then he also, what did you say, Brisbane? Which Haley hated this one. Haley despised this one. I wonder where you've heard this before. It's so bad. There you go. We'll move on now. Yeah. I've tortured people enough. But it does look like I win this one 2-1. So that is good. Thank you to you guys. Yes, it is. What?
Haley can't vote.
Haley voted. I win. She voted for you last time, so I don't want to talk about. All right. We'll hit on the Final Four real quick because neither of us really watched it. I watched more of the women's Final Four than I did the men's Final Four, which honestly did not surprise me as far as the teams that were left. But Miami had a fantastic run. They ran into the buzzsaw that was UConn that just went absolutely insane. This is twice the Huskies had a not fantastic seed and just bowled over everyone in their tournament. They beat Miami 72-59. San Diego State with a crazy buzzer beater that you sent to me, though you mistyped both teams, so I was really confused what you're talking about.
I was working. We had the game on in the press box, and
yeah, right.
Was trying
I know. It was like you sent me FA or San Jose just had a buzzer beater against FA. What are you talking about? But San Diego State got the buzzer beater, but then UConn wins the whole thing, 76-59 to nobody's fantastic brackets. But congratulations to UConn. So in the end, we've had one of the wildest brackets we've had. It was the second highest digit total for the seedings for the four teams that made the Final Four. There was one that was worse because there was like an 11 seed in there. But UConn, in the end, when you look at the annals of all the winners, this one won't jump out at you because UConn continues to win championships. The women's Final Four was crazy too, as Iowa pulled off the big upset against South Carolina, destroying both of our brackets. Caitlin Clark continued to just be fantastic, as she had over 30 points and was really, really good, as Iowa beat South Carolina 77-73. LSU was able to get by Virginia Tech 79-72. And then they come out and they put it to Iowa, winning it 102-85. And yes, she won against South Carolina, but then she did lose in the finals, which Robert Taylor then continues to send me the versions of the GIF of the LSU girl pointing at her ring finger because they were going to win the ring over Caitlin, who was a little cocky throughout the tournament. So congratulations to the LSU women, the UConn men, for winning the NCAA championships, though I can't say that I really watched a ton of the final two. Thank you, Hank. There you go. Reese was the one that pulled that off. Real quick, before we get into WrestleMania, because I want Robert, go ahead and start commenting now about your experience at Mania. The man was lucky enough. He was able to go to the NXT Stand and Deliver early on Saturday and then went to both nights of WrestleMania. Curious about his overall thoughts on just the experience of being there. I'm really jealous of the big bracelet thing he bought. I don't know where I would ever wear that thing, but that was cool. Well, nerdy cool, I guess we'll go with. But real quick, we'll hit on some local stuff. We are an LC radio show. So we'll really quickly talk on the final homestand for LC, who is in grave danger of not making the World Series for the first time in a long time. Obviously, last year was the first time they had to qualify as a host. Were able to get things done. Were the runner-up in the championship game. They are struggling over these last 2 weeks. They lost 3 of 4 to British Columbia, which we talked about last week, and then nearly got swept against Oregon Tech, who was the better team this last weekend.
yeah.
I called the first game on Sunday. You were there for most of it. They get the big walk-off to avoid the sweep. But they're 20-10 now on the year. They're 5-7 in conference play, which puts them in 5th place. They have hosted the Cascade Conference District Tournament every year since they joined this conference. It's not going to happen this year. They are 5 games behind Oregon Tech, and I don't see them catching up.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and we talked about it as I got there early on Saturday, midway through game 1, and it was going to be they need to sweep. It's going to be it's got to be a 4-0 sweep. We got to attack these guys, and it just come out. They got 1 hit on the game 1. The second game, just the same feelings. Just even though it was tough, the biggest part was how many runners they left on base. In game number 2, they left the bases loaded twice in the 8th and in the 9th inning. Both left them loaded. I think it was 14 runners on in game 2, and in game 3, it was like 12 runners on. So, I mean,
That's
just
brutal.
could not get that run across. They just couldn't push it across. The biggest spark, like you said, was the walk-off by Carter Booth in game number 4.
Absolutely. And we'll see what they can do. They're on the road the rest of the regular season, but we'll keep you up to date. They travel to Caldwell to take on the College of Idaho for a 4-game set. Right now, College of Idaho is 3rd in the conference standings. Other Warrior stuff going on is Warrior Giving Day today until tomorrow at 3:33 p.m. All the benefits go for all students at LC. You can check out more information at lcwarriors.com. I know that Alicia has been very busy with that, and I forgot to text her to see if golf actually happened, but it did look like everything got canceled there. So no golf this weekend. I'll see if they reschedule it. They do not have another event set until the Cascade tournament in a few weeks. Track and field will participate at the Whitworth Peace Meet in Spokane on Friday. And tennis, they finished up that trip in Kentucky with a couple of wins. We talked about the first half last week, but got 2 wins there. The men then came and played an NCAA team in Northern Arizona and lost that game. But 2 freshmen were absolutely fantastic and nearly pulled out big wins at the top of the singles chart. So congratulations to them. Both teams will travel to Walla Walla this weekend, but with weather coming in, the women will play on Saturday and the men will play on Sunday. They were both supposed to play on Saturday, but they're trying to spread things out. Get to high school real quick before we hit the Mania talk. Like I said, we were an hour late because I was covering Bengal baseball as they took on Moscow. Got their first 2 home wins of the year as pitching was fantastic in both of those games. Lewiston wins the first one 5-0, where they scored 3 runs in the first inning and on 1 hit. There was a lot of walks. There's a big reason why we're an hour late for a doubleheader that started at 2. There was a lot of walks by Moscow pitching. They win the first one 5-0. They win the second one 10-1 as Kyson Barden hits a grand slam in the 8th inning to really blow that thing open. I want to say Lewiston had 10 runs on 6 hits, I think, in the second game. They scored 3 of their first 4 runs on wild pitches. Again, it was an ugly day pitching-wise for Moscow. Pitching for Lewiston was great. Gave up just the 1 run and end up getting their 2 wins. So they have now gotten back up over 500. They're 6-4. They host Post Falls on Saturday at noon. And then a week from today, they will host Coeur d'Alene again at 3 p.m. So somebody else will be here for my spot. And then if we get done in time, I'll sneak in at the end of the show. Softball was supposed to play a doubleheader against Moscow at Moscow. That one got rained out. So they will try to reschedule it at some point, and they will host Post Falls on Saturday. What do you got for
For the same thing happened with Clarkson. Both we'll start with softball. They had their East Valley game canceled last week, and then also their game for Pullman got rescheduled. They are going to play now April 20th. So the girls won't have a game until April 11th. So almost 2.5 weeks off. So it'll be weird to see how that happens. Again, the Clarkson boys also got postponed on Saturday, and so they made up their game yesterday. Didn't make it down early enough to watch their game one. They win that one 10-0 in 5 innings. They were able to do that. Stuck around for game number 2. Watch part of that. Kind of back and forth. Pullman jumped out to a 1-0 lead, held the lead. And in the 3rd inning, the Bantams finally got on the board, took a 3-1 lead, and that was back and forth to the end. But Tucker Rowan comes in for the save for Clarkson, and they pick up the win 5-4. They will play, I believe, Saturday at 4 p.m. against Grangeville at Adams Field.
All right, there you go. That's our local stuff. Sorry it was so short, but I had very little time to prep stuff up as Lewiston is going crazy with their games. So let's get into it. WrestleMania 2-night event. Actually, really quick, have you had a chance to watch any of the Hall of Fame stuff?
I am caught up with everything. The only thing I did not watch is NXT. I did not get a chance to watch the NXT preview. All right.
Well, I won't fully spoil. I enjoyed NXT. I don't watch NXT like I used to, as they've kind of went back to the developmental stuff. But I thought they put on some pretty good matches on Saturday. It was morning. It was like 10:30. I think that thing started. So if they put on a pretty good performance, please do go watch that. Hall of Fame was pretty good. I thought Mick Foley took forever trying to induct Stacy Keibler, and it kind of took me out of it. They really sped through the middle people. Obviously, when you have 2 people there for people that have passed away, you're not going to give them a lot of time. And Muda is not going to take a lot of time, whereas he's not fantastic at English, but it was very cool that he was able to get in. I just straight shout out to Conan. Absolutely killed it in his speech, bringing in Rey Mysterio, and they gave Rey time to really go through his history and kind of bask in the moment. So I was happy that we only had the 5 people this year. I think it really helped kind of tighten things up. And yes, RIP to Tim White. I was so glad that he was able to get the Warrior Award, which is exactly what the Ultimate Warrior wanted for that award, was for people in backstage stuff that don't get the recognition. And we all knew Tim White as a referee, but as was talked about during that Hall of Fame ceremony, he did a lot of backstage stuff. And I forgot that he was the one that owned that bar that they continued to destroy. And I thought the APA were fantastic as far as their induction as well. But let's get to Mania, and we'll bounce around because, again, when we did our predictions, we didn't know which was night 1 and night 2. So we're just going to go through our predictions. And starting off the whole thing was Austin Theory and John Cena. And I thought it was all right. It was an okay match. I'm happy Austin Theory won. I got to rub it in my son's face, who's a big John Cena fan. I keep walking up to him, say A-Town down to him. I've been doing it for days. I am trolling him so bad. But I thought it was an okay match. Like it's not going to be up there as a top 5 opener of all time, but it was fine.
Yeah, just okay. I enjoyed seeing John Cena. You know, it was a few months from his last one with that short little stint he did the other. I want to say in December, that last match it was on SmackDown at the end of the year. So it was okay. I wouldn't. It wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, Harry, continue with the stars, please, because I am very curious where you landed on these. But Harry gave it 2.5 stars. I won't disagree with that. I think it It's right in that range for sure. Again, skipping around because I don't have the exact order with me, so we're just going through our prediction order, and we'll go Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. I get this one wrong, and actually half of the picks that I got wrong was because I was really hoping that Judgment Day was going to have this fantastic weekend. Now we'll get to the Edge Finn Balor match, and I know a lot of people are yelling about it being the wrong person winning. I hate that. That's just the right people win, and we move on. If you don't like the winner, it sucks for you. That's part of wrestling. Just because we know it's scripted now, you can still have a winner that you don't like. But yes, absolutely with Harry. Dom is becoming more and more of a star. When he first debuted with his dad, I was like, well, he's not going to be long for this business. What he's been able to do with the Dom stuff, he is going to be a fantastic mid-card heel for years to come. I don't think he'll ever get to the world title level, but he can go out there and win IC titles and US titles and be fantastic. His entrance made me laugh so hard with the police escort. And I've listened to other podcasts that are like, well, but why did he go back to jail? He went to jail for one night in December, but it was great. Obviously, you have to think Rey and Dominic just had a blast out there doing their thing. Obviously, they've set things up for the pay-per-view in Puerto Rico next month. Fantastic match, and I'm with Harry. I don't know if I'd go 4 stars. I'd probably go 3.5, but I can't disagree.
I'm going to bring it down, and that would be the reason 3.5 if I was to judge that, just because I didn't care for his entrance. Love seeing Snoop Dogg. I did not like Dom's entrance with the whole. I mean, yeah, I think they're overplaying that whole.
It's so good.
But I love seeing Snoop Dogg come out rolling down with Rey Mysterio in his car, the gold belt, all that. So did love seeing that. But yeah, those two commanding the ring. I think it was awesome.
I do wish that Rey would have gotten out of the car. It was great that they played Eddie's theme as they first came out. But when he gets out of the car and it looks like he goes underneath the ramp to run up to get up to the top of the stage, I wish they would have done the old Rey thing and just shot him out of the floor.
I was hoping that was going to happen.
They had the setup. Obviously, they had to sped it up from what Edge did, but
right,
as neither here nor there. You ended up getting that one right. I got that incorrect. Opposite thing happened here for the women's showcase tag team match that was on Sunday. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler end up getting the win over the other 3 teams, which has already been just debunked with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Spoilers, Robert, for Monday, winning the number 1 contendership match for the women's tag team title. I think they should have pulled an audible in this match. I picked these two to win, Rousey and Baszler, because I felt like they should be the number 1 contenders, and they're going to win the match and let Lita go back off into retirement. But Rousey obviously was not cleared to go in this match. That's why she stayed out on the outside the entire match. People were doing dives and she just would disappear and then came in to do her one move and get the win. She was not cleared to compete, and apparently Shayna Baszler was injured during the match too. So they should have pulled the audible and had somebody else win, but they wanted to get Ronda Rousey her victory. It was bad. I'm with Harry. It's a 1 star. It sucks because there's some good talent in that ring, but none of it meshed and none of it worked.
I agree 100% that for me, hands down, this was I thought the worst match out of all of it, out of all of the hype of everything. For them to just come in, do their one thing and go, that's where I was at. Love watching Lita, love watching Raquel and Liv. But I really, really like to see what Natalya has been doing. She's still trying to get Shotzi involved. I love that. I just wasn't happy. So,
oh well, I don't care. You're not happy.
I know.
Real quick, we get to the Hell in the Cell. Try to move through these as we got 20 minutes left now.
I know.
Edge beats Finn Balor in Hell in a Cell. I know a lot of people at first complained that they stopped the match because Finn Balor was bleeding. If you have not seen the cut that is on the top of Finn Balor's head and you're not squeamish, go look it up. It makes absolute sense in the world why they stopped that match to staple the man's head mid-match so they can complete it. Shout out to Finn Balor for toughing it out there. To me, this missed the mark a little bit. Maybe because of the stoppage took me out of it, but to me, this rivalry was done a long time ago. I don't mind Edge winning finally, but it was rough. Harry gives it 3.5. I would be tough to give it 3 stars.
I was right at 3 stars with that one. I enjoyed it. I have always been a big Edge fan. Love seeing them bring back the brood feeling of it.
It was really dumb to put Brood Edge on.
Yeah, I didn't like that, but I
dumb.
did like. Yeah, I did like the coloring of what it was.
Mhm.
So, it still wasn't my favorite one of the night, but it was up there.
Right. Match of the weekend is the next one we're going to talk about. SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair losing her title to Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's a star. She is fantastic. These two went out there and beat the crap out of each other. Charlotte did a crazy backflip that kind of messed up and she skidded her nose and it just made the match look even better. I thought they crushed it. To me, I can't think of another match that I've watched, and I will straight up say I don't watch Japanese wrestling very much. So I know Japanese wrestling has some fantastic female wrestlers and they have fantastic matches, and I'm sure Harry could give me 20 matches that he would say is better than this, but this is the best women's match I have ever seen, with barely topping the Bianca Belair Sasha Banks match from 2 years ago. This is a 5-star match to me.
Yeah, I loved this match back and forth. And you can even see it in my show notes and our notes. I still had a question mark because even going in to predictions, I was like, I love when she came out there this last year and had really took a turn of she is the newest star of this of this company. I'm not a huge Judgment Day fan, but they're bringing and raising these guys up with this whole
no, but Rhea's just
with this group
propping herself up.
Oh yeah,
she will be gone from that group very soon.
Yeah,
and
I think that's soon going to be happening.
By the way, the transformation that she has made over the last 8 years, I watched a YouTube video where they showed some of her indie stuff and then into the Mae Young Classic tournament that she was a part of, and then NXT. Just a ridiculous transformation. And yeah, I agree. She does need out of Judgment Day for sure. The main event of night 1, to me, was my second favorite match of the whole thing. The match itself was fine. Listening to Jim Cornette talk about it, I do agree with him, and it was part of the reason I wasn't big into it. And it's the thing that the Usos have really started to rely on over the last few years. It's also the reason why I can't stand the Young Bucks. There was about 753 super kicks in this match. And I'm sorry, Usos, you're not that good at super kicks. They do this weird flat move where they just kind of lay their foot next to the opponent's face and just stand it there, and it doesn't look vicious. And I can't do their super kicks. I figured, Harry, this was one that you really liked more. The ending was beautiful. The whole storyline built up to an amazing crescendo, and I loved it. The match was good. I'd give it 4 stars, but the ending props it up to a 4.5-star match, just storytelling alone.
That hands down, love watching what was going on between those. To see Sammy and the excitement and the drama behind it, him hitting those 3 Haluma kicks at the very end. That's what I said, Haluma. And watching
Haluma
hitting the
hell of a kicks. That's
the last one, and seeing his face before he hit the last one, hands down. That match was unreal.
His face was great. Owens trying to hold back tears was great. It was Sami Zayn's wife that got me. She was bawling instantly after that match. The crowd was way into it. I know Robert had to go to bed. I want to give him props with everyone else. Yes, Haluva. The crowd at SoFi was insane the whole way through, and I absolutely loved them. So I get it. It was a great way to end night 1. We won't talk about this one too much, but the 6-woman tag with Lita, Becky Lynch, and Trish Stratus, they beat Damage Control. It looks like Bayley might be done now with WWE, which makes me really sad, but I don't blame her with the Vince bull that's going on. Lita, Becky Lynch, and Trish won. It's a 2-star match. It was all right. Yes, I agree with Jesse, though. The Usos are great at false finishes. Opener for night 2, Brock Lesnar beat Omos in about 5 minutes. It should not have been the opener, but I said it on the show last week that Brock Lesnar either main events or he opens.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't main event, so I knew this was going to be an opener. It was a good big man match. I was fine with it. 2.5 star.
Good big man. I'm the same with you. But what was better than watching? And I know they focused on Brock's back. That was the whole thing. But watching him suplex Omos those times, taking it to Suplex City, I think that was awesome.
The F5 was clean, which I was expecting.
Right.
Brock Lesnar now has a tramp stamp tattoo, and I don't know how to feel about it. If you have not seen it, go look it up. It's evil. It says kill them all or something, but it's just weird to see. Another really good match from night 1. By the way, night 1 was just better than night 2 all around, period. Mm-hmm. Seth freaking Rollins gets the win over Logan Paul and his weird prime bottle buddy KSI, which I knew somebody was going to be in that mascot when they came out and they were going to interfere. I predicted it was his brother. Instead, it's KSI. So give credit to there. And I continue to hate to say it, but Logan Paul is a natural at this stupid business, and I can't stand it. I'm with Harry. That's another 4-star match. Seth Rollins is great, and Logan, unfortunately, is great too.
Love watching Seth right now, what he is bringing to the crowd. Love the chants, all that. Like we talked about in the opening, and you did talk about Raw, and kind of want to watch that very beginning part of Raw. But I'm not a huge Logan Paul fan, but he's an athlete. He can compete, and I enjoyed it. So,
and he plays with the crowd, and now that they made him a heel, it's just great. The men's tag team showcase, which was the second match on Saturday, I loved. I usually don't like this spot fest stuff, but with this kind of a match, which is just there, it's in the name. It's tag team showcase. Go showcase what you have. So I don't mind the spot fest for that. This was the spottiest of spot fests that the WWE can put together with 8 of these guys. So much talent in that ring. That probably would be right around there. 3.5, 3 3/4, right in that area. So I'd probably go right there. Dawkins is fantastic. He needs to turn heel. I think the Street Profits need to turn heel and go with that route. I thought Ricochet had a fantastic performance too. It's a great match. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, all together. 4 stars for me on that. It was one of the highlights watching Braun Strowman, Ricochet walk out. Love Braun. I don't understand why Vince was so against this man a year ago. I think he is a great talent. I could see him turning out if things don't go down the road with him and Ricochet. I think they start really pushing him here, but who knows with some of the changes.
The only match that was this close to passing Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley to me, and I'm going to predict that Harry gave it a 5-star rating, and I'm really close to giving it a 5-star rating as well. Triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther. I'm just going to say this. I got it wrong because I was hoping Gunther was going to lose his title and go on to be a title contender for a champion that we don't have. And we'll get to that in a minute. Yep, 5. I predicted the 5-star. And I wanted to see Drew and Sheamus battle it out for the IC title, and Sheamus beat his buddy finally later on down the road. Now Drew is in contract talks and he may be done with WWE for a while too. But I'm just going to say this real quick, and I'll let you give your opinion. If you have a friend that just goes, wrestling's fake. Wrestling, they don't even hit each other. It's ballet and da-da-da. It's just this fake choreographed bull. Sit them down and just have them watch this match. Because there is not one punch that's pulled. There's not one chop that's pulled. Just this was the one time I was disappointed that SoFi was so loud, because I wanted it to be an empty arena where you really heard every chop and kick, and it just, they went out there and went, let's just beat each other up. It was so good. It was
the
great.
knife edge chops on all of them.
Mhm.
You looked at Gunter's chest when he lifted that title at the very end. You looked at his chest, and Denise and I talked about it, and we looked at it. It was like, holy crap! They beat the living tar out of each other.
So good.
And it was a great match, and I would easily give it a 5 also.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell them the same thing. It's like, oh, it's fake. It's like, so Lord of the Rings is real. All right. Raw Women's Championship match. Bianca Belair defends her title against Asuka. The story, the build to this match was not great. Match itself was all right. I'll give it 3 stars. I think these two could put on a far better performance. Bianca remains undefeated at WrestleMania, and I hope they make that a story. Hopefully, Asuka's not done. She had a weird tweet right after all this stuff, too. The Vince stuff has just made me sour on a lot of things, but it was an all right match.
All right. So the one thing that turned me off on this match, and maybe it's just me, and Denise and I talked about it as we watched it. I was highly disappointed. Love where Asuka's face paint is, where her outfits are right now. Highly disappointed in Bianca Belair's outfit. It was like one piece. She was constantly playing with it, trying to keep it up. It wasn't she was more focused on her outfit than she was wrestling. I think it took away a little bit.
Well, she didn't go full Rey Mysterio where it completely took away from the match, but I loved her entrance with the dance crew that was out there.
So I
agree, Harry. I did my best at the beginning of the show, and we had to cut it short because it's just so bad.
So here's this, and I don't know if you've heard this story. I'll see if Denise saved it. She was watching as she had setting to bed and told me that the little girl that was dancing in the middle, swinging her hair,
the weird contortionist girl,
the one that was doing that, just before when she got to SoFi to perform, found out that her mother died, and she stayed because she didn't want to let her dance team down. Stayed with her dance team, danced her performance, and then went to and stuck around. Even she was there in the interview with Bianca a little bit later. Yeah. And Harry's right. And Denise sent me, she came and showed me that, and it was just crazy to think about. You think about these guys performing and even for an 8-year-old to perform after your mom's died. I'm going to do it. It's just crazy.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Main event of night 2, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. And sir, put it up with me. We must and continue.
Acknowledge me.
Roman Reigns retains your title. I'm shocked that they pulled it off. I put it out there that I wanted Roman Reigns to win. I wanted this to continue. Simon Miller said it perfectly that the original plan was for The Rock to be wrestling Roman Reigns, and The Rock wasn't going to beat Reigns. So obviously Triple H had a set story for what they were going to do long term with this, and it wasn't for Roman to lose at Mania. So I was going to trust Triple H to continue this story and have a fantastic build. We got people all pissed off that Cody lost, and we're blowing up social media. I've had many arguments already about this. The same thing happened when Sammy didn't win in Montreal, and the same thing happened when Drew didn't win in England. So, same thing is here. They would move on and make things better. However, it's not Triple H anymore. It's Vince, and who knows from there. I do like, and again, I'm going to spoil something for you, Mr. Robert Hagan. The end of Monday Night Raw, because you do not need to watch this at all. Brock Lesnar turned on Cody and went heel and beat the holy crap out of him. So it's basically Cena's story from years ago, where he lost to The Rock at Mania, went through this whole battle of, self-confidence and stuff. Had to go
Mhm.
through Brock Lesnar, who killed him on the Raw after Mania. And then the next Mania, he won the title. Will that happen here? We'll see. With Vince in charge, it could happen next week. And he'll just turn things off. I thought the match was fantastic. The crowd was so invested. And yes, they got deflated when Roman ended up winning. And I get so tired of people going, well, he only wins because of interference. Yeah, because he's a heel. His job is for you to hate him. And if he just won clean all the time, people go, I respect that Roman Reigns. And Roman doesn't want that. So of course he has interference. It's just part of the gig.
I just wish he would wrestle more instead of once every, or a pay-per-view. I mean, come on.
Nobody wrestles on Raw and SmackDown anymore anyways.
Right.
Mid-carders wrestle on the shows. Main eventers wrestle at the pay-per-views.
Right.
Ooh, I didn't even think
Wow.
about Big E. Big E would be interesting. That was another guy I'm really surprised did not return last night. That's what he meant, for sure.
I was shocked.
I still think Jey Uso has a chance at SummerSlam if they go that route with the story. They did some teasing on Raw. I'm predicting, and I'm not saying he's going to win, but Money in the Bank is once again overseas in the England area. There's somebody who had a fantastic match over this weekend that Robert said the crowd was way behind, and that is a Gunther. I think it'll be Gunther versus Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank. It would be interesting if Roman then also won the Intercontinental title, but I'm not predicting that. But Gunther's not going to beat him at Money in the Bank, but that's my prediction of who he will face there. But I know a lot of people are upset about the result. I'm not. I'm going to let it play out. I'm shocked that Roman won, but that match was really good, and I'm happy with it, and Cody will be just fine. And you did put these in here real quick. We did forget to talk about The Miz and his 2 impromptu matches. The one with McAfee was fine. George Kittle getting involved was a cool little moment. And then Shane O'Mac showed up and died. I'm not a fan of Shane O'Mac. He drives me absolutely bonkers. However, I feel bad for him. It is insane that I have watched 3 people blow a quad on live TV, and it's a McMahon, and somebody who married in with the McMahons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about McMahons, but their quads are not strong.
No, not at all.
But props to Snoop Dogg for coming in, saving the day, and putting on the worst rock or the people's elbow of all time. There you go. In the end, though, I won our WrestleMania predictions. You know why?
9-7.
I'm better than you, and you know it.
Different company, but I don't care. I love WrestleMania. I thought this year both nights were very good. Night 1 was epic, and night 2 was very good. But that is just me. I also am very happy, and who knows if it'll stay the way. But they used to do, Peacock you could get on for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to watch ads, or you get the cheaper version, but you have to watch ads. Well, you have to do that with these shows, is put in spots for ads. It used to be, all right, here's just a weird superstar profile that we get to watch while everyone else has the ads. And now we'll get into the hype of the next match. Now, the way they did it this year was, hey, for the premium Peacock people, check out the highlight package for this match. Everyone else, you get to get commercials, and you don't get to watch the cool highlight package we got.
Mm-hmm.
And it made it smooth a lot more. Period.
Oh, yeah.
The referee was great. The referee, I agree. You could hear her talk about the people's elbow, and she was a professional. Also, a note that Doof and I noticed. Harry and Jesse, you will get a kick out of this, and maybe Hagen, you will too. Female referees from now on in all matches. For one reason and one reason only. How many ref bumps happened at WrestleMania? All the men died. They all fell apart. There was a ref bump in both of the matches that I remember with the female referee in, and they shook that crap off. There was a referee bump in Charlotte and Rhea, and she was right back up and ready to go.
Mhm.
Three matches. You're right.
Yep.
But props to the female referees. They don't take ref bumps, and they will be in there when it absolutely matters. Yeah.
100%. 100%. And I forget her name and how she ducked out of the way of getting the Oscar miss too. I mean, she barely missed with that too.
It was great. Absolutely great. So there you go. That was our WrestleMania recap. And we've now waited our time. Well, real quick, hit Anthony Simonson won the Masters. I love that tournament and their bracket style. It was so cool to see Kyle Sherman make his run and finish third. If you don't watch this stuff, go watch the Brad and Kyle channel on YouTube. His video of getting to the TV broadcast, his last, he went 3-1 one day to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous outcomes in those contests.
I actually had my assistant principal ask me questions about when he watched the Masters on Sunday, and so it was very cool to be able to sit and talk something with him about that. And so it was cool that some of these guys are getting into it that are not bowlers. So.
And then the PBA World Series of Bowling, where they bowl on all these different patterns for several weeks and then come back in for the championships. That will go on for basically the rest of April for the most part. Aussie rules football, we've touched on it a little bit. Eric's Western team gets the win, 67-53. My Hawthorne Hawks get the win, their first win of the year over North Melbourne, 80-61. And what happened to your team? Nothing good. Gold Coast takes out Geelong 73-54. It does suck that your team, my team, and Eric's team are the bottom three on the rung. Harry's team is still doing decent. And like you said, Geelong versus Hawthorne, great rivalry game. Sunday, 10:20 p.m. Pacific time on FS2. I'll be tuning in.
I will be too. Easter Sunday, by this time, the ham and scalloped potatoes have already wore off. Be able to sit the TV at 10 o'clock at night and watch a decent match there.
Update with the Clearwater Combat, which you still haven't told me about Wednesday, but we'll get there. Joey Walker is injured, so he will not be part of the featherweight amateur title. So there will be a new contender in that one. We're only a few weeks away from that. So again, maybe we just need to wait for them to get through fight night for sure. I was going to click on it, but let's get into golf. Corey Connors ends up winning the Valero Texas Open. The Masters are this weekend. Who do you got to win this whole thing?
Listen, he's playing hot. He has been playing hot for the last 6 weeks. How do you go against Scotty Scheffler, University of Texas boy? He's just been playing unreal. I'm going to take him.
Tiger Woods is 65-1. It's tempting.
Don't see him walk. I don't see him being able to walk the entire thing. So,
but I will take Jordan Spieth. I'll take Jordan Spieth to win the whole thing. I will be watching a lot of the Masters. I've not gotten into golf too much early on in the season as much as I usually watch. But now that we've hit major season and, of course, the Masters, I will be tuning in. Also, Kyle Larson won the Richmond race. Josh Berry, who's subbing for Chase Elliott after his snowboarding accident, got a second-place finish. Ross Chastain was third. Christopher Bell was fourth. Kevin Harvick was fifth. And another fun event is the Bristol Dirt Race on Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So you have Masters Sunday. You have NASCAR drivers driving on a crazy dirt track that shouldn't have dirt on it. And then you have Geelong and Hawthorne. It's
going to be a busy
way
day
to spend Easter Sunday, which I won't be able to watch as much as I want, but that's how it works.
You got to figure in what time do we eat dinner and where do we squeeze in dinner?
After we got a little bit of break between the end of the Masters and Hawthorne and Geelong for sure. All right. So that's going to do it for this show. You guys, I want to thank you so much for making the show so much fun. I came into this exhausted from calling the 2 baseball games where I called 30 walks, I think. And you guys really made this a lot of fun. Of course, the sports-related draft that Eric came up with really kind of brought the spirits as well. But next week, somebody will be in my place, or he'll be in Robert's place because Robert won't be able to figure out how to switch people, and he'll be on the correct bingo side next week. I will do my best after Lewiston gets done with their doubleheader to get on for the last little bit of the show, but we don't want you guys having to wait 2 hours for us to be able to bring you this content. But again, you guys hung out with us and made this so much fun, so we appreciate you so much. But that's Robert. I'm Randy. This is the R&R Sports Report. And until next week, and for me, probably for 2 weeks, we are